All right. Just gonna make sure everything is set up correctly, but I think it's all happening. I'm kind of testing out a new setup. You know, it's a whole thing, but I am happy to be turning 37. Oh, I'm old now. I think that means I'm old. All right. There we go. Now I can hear the music. So, I am actually pretty excited for the process of painting Cal. I've been wanting this model for a while, and I'm gonna get his half sister Hera Helmar soon. But first things first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start assembling the model, right? Everybody starts the same way, I guess. Well, I guess some people paint on sprue, but those people are monsters. So it's important to, keep that in mind. All right. Cal frickin' Jericho. So first, the back part of him. I wonder if it would be better if I zoomed in my view a little bit. All right. So first thing we do is put his chest and the rest of his coat on. Let's see. So yeah, it's my birthday. I am not planning to do anything crazy. Mostly just planning to make myself a cheesecake and to have a generally fairly quiet day, as is my tradition at this point. Whole big birthday blowouts kind of I don't know. They find them tiring. So as like a little birthday present to myself, I don't force myself to have a birthday party anymore. Even though birthday parties can be fun. But yeah, I think that's all of Cal other than his head. All right. I don't know where my seam scraper went. I have a knife around here somewhere. Ready for everything except seams. Or not. All right. Oh, right. I was using it over there earlier. So yeah. Working on Cal. One of the INQtober prompts that I'm doing was a famous bounty hunter, and obviously Cal is like the most famous bounty hunter on Necromunda. If you ask him about it, I'm sure that there are others who would contend that he barely does any bounty hunting himself. Also, I see replies on kind of a delay. So if you do reply, I will plan on responding, but it might take a little bit for that to get from me to you. Hi, I like game, I agree. It's important to kind of to do something for yourself on your birthday, whether that is if you're the kind of person who likes to throw a big shindig. I think there's nothing wrong with that. But I've always been more comfortable kind of keeping myself entertained. I will say that there's the internet kind of provides like a nice happy medium. It's like partially I get to hang out by myself, and partially I get to be social. Because there's other people on the other side of the screen or what have you. So it's a compromise. I didn't do anything like this last year, and I actually kind of wanted to. I just kind of I have like a lot of anxiety about streaming because it's kind of a weird animal in terms of like activities. I don't quite know what how to kind of engage with it, and so I wind up building it up into this big kind of obstacle in my head, when the reality is that it's actually like it's nowhere near as complicated as my sort of brain makes it out to be. So especially now that I've got continuity camera working on my iPhone, so I can like have a decent camera that can actually like capture everything. I think I'm going to try to get back into streaming. And in fact, on October 31st, my plan is to live stream. I'm going to do the one chip challenge, which I have right here. I did one in December of last year. Thanks. I did a hot chip challenge last year, and it was I did the full hour, which apparently they're not even putting don't eat or drink for an hour in the marketing materials anymore because they're worried people are gonna injure themselves or something. I don't know. So, but my plan is, I went to the Warhammer store on Saturday, and my kids were with me, and the person running the store was really nice and gave my kids and I the free model of the month, which was the Stern Guard. And I love Stern Guard, although it's kind of bland compared to the old Stern Guard kit, but the proportions are better. So yes, I'm going to take the one chip challenge, and then I'm going to assemble and paint the Stern Guard, which we will see how far I get. I haven't had this year's one yet, but it might be spicier than last year's. Who knows? Apparently, it killed someone. I don't know for sure if that. I just saw a story in the New York Times that was like, someone dies after doing the one chip challenge, which I was like, huh. I'm like, they do have a bunch of warnings on there if you have like a condition, but the parent was like, no, that this kid didn't have a condition. So anyway, so I will be taking my life into my own hands, and live streaming a bit of a silly. It's a silly idea I had. So the one chip challenge is This brand Pocky makes like the spiciest chips on earth. And the one chip challenge is like their spiciest chip. It's a single chip in like foil wrapping, and like you don't want to touch it with your hands, so I'll use gloves, like because you'll never get the like spice off of your fingers. Um, so yeah, so that's basically the deal with that. And the idea is that you eat it, and then they used to say like, see if you can make it an hour without eating or drinking after you eat this incredibly spicy chip. Which I mean, like, I'm not really into the whole like flexing through discomfort thing, but like eating spicy food is like one of my superpowers. So like it's kind of right up my alley. Um, and it was, I mean, I would be lying if I said it was, I would be lying if I said it wasn't like, one of the most like intense experiences of my life. Jenny Tight Pants on Twitter was like, Psh, one chip challenge, not hot, like whatever. I bested it. I'm not so confident as to kind of claim. Oh, I see what's going on here. I'm missing his collar. Um, so I won't claim that it wasn't intense. It was like for the first 15 minutes, it's like borderline psychedelic. Like your body does not know what to do about the fact that you have just consumed something that it's poison. It's concentrated poison. So your body is just like, what? And so you feel like hot flashes, and like you start kind of like reality kind of starts to like warp a little bit, and you find yourself like getting more and more like kind of irrational. And then I don't know, about 15 minutes in, things kind of calmed down for me, and it was still incredibly spicy. I was like weeping the entire time because my like natural reaction for my body to like any kind of like outside negative stimuli is to my eyes just start watering, which has actually posed some problems for me. Like I put makeup on, and like the immediate result is that like my eyes start watering, which is really annoying when you're wearing eye makeup. Because it's just like, oh great, my body has decided that like the makeup is a threat, and it must get rid of it by flushing out my eyes. Like that's not what I wanted. I put that there on purpose. Brain, get it together. All right, Cal is built. I go ahead and hit him with a little bit of the accelerant so that any of that loose glue gets dried. It's funny, my like whole setup has been kind of shifting around in here. I recently 3D printed a LED like light arch, which if I kind of pull back here, you can see I've actually got my live streaming camera set up on top of the arch, which allows me to get like a much better kind of picture of my face than I would normally, which is kind of cool. Now I'm trying to... Alright, now Scabs. And yeah, I've got all kinds of cool gear here that I like just don't, I feel like I don't use enough. Like I've got thing that I could use as like a stream deck here, like this thing, but I thought about setting up the hotkeys to kind of cue stuff, and of course I didn't do the work of setting it up, and suddenly it was noon, so I was like, I gotta go live. Not that I'm doing anything complicated that actually requires like hotkeying or whatever, but it would be nice to kind of have the option, I guess. But you know, everything requires kind of attention and time, and I have limitations on both. And yes, a Pocky's stand in the Underhive would be a great idea. Scabs is very simple. He's just a little guy who has a plasma gun strapped to his back, which I feel like it's a miracle that Scabs is still alive in the background, because Lord knows Cal has put him through the ringer over the years, and does not seem to have much regard for his health and safety. I would not want to be an employee of Cal Jericho personally, even though I do really enjoy him as a character, because I think he's like a good kind of representation of like the absurdity of nobles on Necromunda. Like they have so little to do that like rather than like enjoy the like benefits of his heritage, he would much rather like cosplay as a like daring underhive bounty hunter. I mean, like he puts himself in danger all the time. So like, on some level, he is brave. Maybe, perhaps kind of stupid. But you know, those two things are not unrelated. Um, and I really enjoy that kind of reflection. It reminds me of that Firefly episode where they go to a planet that has like a wealthy ruler who keeps everything at like 1890s level of technology on the world, so that he can kind of cosplay as like a noble gentleman of like that era, and then like have everybody else kind of riding around like they're in the Wild West. All right. Anyhow, I find it interesting that uh, apparently Cal has Helmar's corpse, like, or well, the stasis casket. Like the last thing that Cal did in the Spire before he kind of bailed and went into hiding, was steal his dad from his half sister, and Necromunda is maybe gonna be like cataclysmically destroyed. I don't know. I haven't read the last Aranthian Succession book. I'm not so lucky as to receive preview copies. Not that I don't know if I would want to take one, honestly, because I feel like there's like a whole commitment when it comes to like getting a preview copy with GW. Like there's things like NDAs and all that stuff, and I don't trust big companies to sign documents where they can sue me. So even though it's kind of a irrational concern, I mean not entirely irrational, I'm just very curious kind of where the story is going. And so in the Indominus like plot line in 40k, apparently Necromunda got mentioned as having had like a big revolutionary movement on the planet's surface, but it did say that the planet eventually stabilized. So I suspect that no matter what the like dire circumstances apparently going on, that in the end things will kind of come back to normal. If anything, just because it's it's kind of the nature of this setting to like have your to have things kind of reset back to equilibrium after like a big cataclysm. I am curious who will be ruling the planet at the end. Some part of me thinks that Cal will get Papa resurrected, and we'll wind up seeing Geronidus Helmar rule Necromunda, for another few centuries before he finally kicks the bucket. Because nobles in Necromunda or in 40k seem to live a really goddamn long time. Too long, if you ask any of their inheritors. I'm sure it's gotta suck to wait like 400 years for your parent to die so that you can inherit their authority, unless you're one of those like brat kind of like fail son, like I just like to go to parties and like torture poor people, that kind of stuff. Like those people, I guess, don't really care about whether they're going to be inheriting, but like the people who are actually invested in taking over, it has to be kind of frustrating that the rejuvenant treatments are so effective. So, I'm very curious kind of where that storyline goes. Oh, that's funny. I had my phone plugged in, and then I unplugged it to do something, and it stayed unplugged. And of course now there we go. Kaboom. Anyhow, so I'm very curious kind of where the story will proceed from there. I'm very kind of resistant to like incorporating the larger politics of the planet into my own personal gaming. Like I do get that like there is there's fun to be had there, but like for me, I just is not like, it's just not my personal level of interest. Like I really like stories of like very low level kind of struggles, and like the kind of planetary politics. It just is a little I don't know, it's a little much. So I'm personally really hoping that we get back to kind of more normal supplements. Like I would really be into a like a Hive Secundus focused book that kind of has like a campaign focused on Hive Secundus, maybe the fall of Hive Secundus, maybe attempting to retake Hive Secundus. I would be really into a book set on the Eye of Selene. I think everybody would be into that. And I would really be into a book about Hive Mortis, because like there's lots and lots of little stories about Hive Mortis in the various House of books. It seems like a really rough place, but House Escher's got like a big bunch of holdings there. I think they might be harvesting the zombies for chem supplies, and it might be related to how they are able to kind of bring back Death Maidens. But yeah, and like I think that the scenarios are really cool. I like that they set one on Zalkstra in the last book, which was like that was a really cool mission, and I do think that 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 those books have value. It's just kind of there's just an overemphasis on like the planetary politics. When like I would almost kind of rather read that in like a trilogy. Personally, trying to figure out exactly how this fits on there. So it definitely is supposed to. There's like a little hole it's supposed to go into. But so in other news, my campaign is almost the like Ash Waste campaign is almost wrapped up. We are we played the final 3 rounds, and I'm editing battle reports now. In fact, that was what I was doing last night until around midnight. Man, trying to figure out exactly how it goes on. So but my sequel campaign is going to be set entirely on Zalkstra, which, for those who don't know, is a prison hive where it's run entirely by the enforcers. And I won't kind of reveal the I won't reveal the context yet, because it will be part of the finale. But I am very excited to explore that setting. I need to do some 3D modeling of like prison interiors. And I need to do some. I need to get some enforcer packs, because there obviously will be enforcers in the enforcer run hive. Man, I am not understanding how this fits together. It seems like this is supposed to slot into this hole, and that there's then like a thing that's supposed to settle right here, but then it's not. Maybe it's this. Ah, there we go. See, this is why I always dry fit things. Spend a little bit of time trying to figure out how exactly they expect you to put it together before you kind of get glue on it, and suddenly you're like, I don't understand. Which I did with one of the Servo Skulls and Lady Credo. Thankfully, it didn't wind up being a big deal, but she was kind of put together like ever so slightly incorrectly. Right. Yes. So the boarding action terrain is exactly what I'm using. I've already kind of put together some. These are 3D prints, obviously, but you can see they use the boarding action terrain like style. And I'm gonna print a bunch of kind of blank walls, because like the one problem with the boarding action walls is that they're like super duper detailed, where there's tons. I got a bunch of them right here. There's like tons of pipes and stuff, and it's like you wouldn't have that in a prison cell. So I gotta print some like more kind of mundane like brick walls or whatever that can be the kind of prison walls. That way we don't have this like weird situation where it doesn't even make any sense that if there's a prison cell there. But so, because it's a prison, like, I want to do specific set pieces. And what's cool about these walls, is that you can kind of, I've got templates, STL file templates for kind of putting these together. And so I can just take those and I can do stuff. So I think, you know, my plan is to have like the laundry area, the like area with the armory is already kind of taken care of by the boarding action train itself that I have, because I have 3 of the 4 and I have STL files of the 3rd one if I can't ever find it in person. Which I haven't been able to yet, but if I do find it in person, I'll probably pick it up because for terrain, I much prefer plastic to resin. Anyhow, so let's see. I got my little Red Grass Games painting handle here with it's got the swappable caps, which are really cool. I wonder if I could print more of these. I don't know. I should probably just buy them. But sorry, I'm trying to get my airbrush out here. The plan is to kind of make, you know, a bunch of different areas that you find in a prison. So, you know, a mess hall, the dining, the actual like cooking area, the kitchen or whatever. I'm about to spray, so it's going to get a little bit loud for a minute. Anyway, so I'm really stoked to get working on that, but while I'm kind of doing the actual terrain side of things, I'm planning to have my Warcry battle reports start, because I really like Warcry, and I started actually playing recently, and I want to get my hands on more of it. Man, my primer is running low, and so it's a little bit like the bottom of the barrel, and so it's just coming out nasty. So yeah, I've been kind of the plan for the Warcry stuff is to do a series of, like, the idea is that there will be a series of kind of tournaments in each realm that will have eight warbands start, and then the winner of each will get a qualifying spot in the 9th like tournament. You know, so each of the 8 is like a qualifier for the invitational in the Varenspire, which is why I've got this project that I've been kind of I backburnered right around Nova time, of doing terrain for all 9 of the realms, or all 8 realms plus the 8 points. And I made a bunch of progress on it. I've even got a bunch of stuff printed that I haven't started painting yet. Man, I'm gonna clean out the gunk with the primer left in my airbrush in a second. So, probably unusual for me to be priming white. Usually I prime black and then do like a gradient. But lately, I've really been into kind of doing... Oh, there we go. The gunk is out. I've been really into doing non-black and white gradients. So the plan for these is to start with a brown color. So first, obviously, we have to get them base coated. Yeah, I'm really excited for the Realms project. I made like 3/4 of a video. that I just have not posted yet, and I just need to sit down and finish it. But I have so many different ideas for videos that I'm like almost a little paralyzed at times. Which I think other folks probably understand. It's a big hobby, and so there's like lots of different directions you could take things in. So yeah, so I've got, while we wait for these to dry, um, I've got the Realm of Life pretty much done. I mean, I had a board, you know, I could do some vertical stuff because I don't have vertical terrain for it. It's all kind of trees and a lot of trees made from the Eldar like evil plant terrain that they put out years ago. And so that's my Gyran board, and then I've got one that I did for Azure, which I posted about a while back. I did my Cursed City board as my board for the Realm of Death. I've got a mostly assembled not Heart of Gur, whatever, the one with the Zinj cultists, that is for kind of the Realm of Beasts. That's 4. I've got my terrain for the Realm of Shadow mostly printed. There's like a few things left. I'm gonna do like a bunch of like rock formations because all the images I could find featured like evil looking Dark Eldar kind of looking buildings and rocks. So that's kind of where I'm at with that board. For the Realm of Light, I bought these STL files for these like floating island kind of terrain pieces. So I'm gonna have a board that features like climbable, scalable, traversable floating islands that are on it. So that covers that one. Realm of Metal is probably my favorite idea. I'm actually gonna do like a Caradron skyport as the project for that one. So it'll be it'll be kind of like a catacombs map. The Realm of Fire, I'm just going to use the Varanite siphoning camp terrain that I already have. So I guess I've got 5 of 9 done, or 5 of 9 in progress. And then so the ones that I haven't done yet are the floating island terrain, the what was the Caradron skyport terrain, the Varan Spire terrain. I'm gonna have to find proxies for that because that stuff's impossible to find now. And then, gosh, all right, Realm of Life, Realm of Death, Realm of Beasts, Realm of Metal, Realm of Shadow, Realm of Light. I've got a list of everything, but I'm like, I feel like I'm missing one of them that I have forgotten to detail. But regardless, I'm really excited to get through all of those and actually do some kind of Warcry gameplay videos. And my plan with the Warcry videos is to do a very kind of different format than what I've been doing with the Frontier campaign, because like realistically I don't want to always do the kind of same kind of treating the subject matter seriously kind of format. So my plan, I'm talking while I'm running the airbrush. I'm just gonna turn that off and kind of get back to work on the actual model. Once I get it into its bath, that will keep it from getting all cloggy. Alright, so as I was saying, the whole deal with kind of dealing with like the video format, like I'm my goal for the video of the my brain is of the Warcry games is to kind of have it be based on the sort of like World Wrestling Entertainment style of content, you know, where it's like you got commentators talking about the match as it goes on and treating it as kind of like less serious, more kind of soap opera style competition, you know, where like there's like silly rivalries and that kind of goofy stuff. Alright. I'm not going to bother. I was going to airbrush the base coat on, but cleaning out my brush was proving to be kind of annoying. So now we are just going to base coat. And this is the Monument Hobbies Dark Golden Brown, which is a really lovely color to use for a base coat if you're going to be building up to a green, which is what we're doing with Mr. Cal here. I wonder if Cal is short for something. Like, is his actual name like Caledon Jericho? Is Jericho actually his last name, or did he kind of give himself that name? These are the questions I ask myself. Maybe it was his mom's name. And get in there. Brown, and then I will be on the coat, because the coat's the part that'll be green. I'm going to kind of dry brush up to a green using kind of a bunch of layers. It's funny, I always kind of I didn't like the using blue tack to kind of attach your base to the painting handle approach for the longest time, and then I saw someone else doing it, and the amount of blue tack that they were using was like 5 to 10 times as much as I was using, and the problem I was always having was that the models would fall off, which is not really as much of an issue when you use like an entire strip of the blue tack to hold the model down. Although I have actually run into the opposite issue where it's kind of annoying to get the model off the blue tack. It was kind of it was a spindly model that didn't have a lot of easy to grip parts, and I was just like, oh, this is kind of a different problem. It's very kind of the opposite of what I was dealing with before. Yeah, exactly. Just go for like as much blue tack as possible, and it winds up working actually really well. And I even where's my GW paint handle? Well, of course it's not directly in front of me. I don't understand. I was literally just using it because I had 3 models out that I had primed last night, and each one was stuck to either the like this handle the other one, and the detachable one from over here. I don't know why I took him off. I guess I was just showing off the blue tack. It was not necessary. Anyway, so it turned out that, yeah, it was actually user error rather than a problem with the act of like using blue tack. I still like the GW handles, but they were definitely a better prospect when they came out at $8. And GW has been doing this thing where they don't increase the prices on their hobby supplies. Thank you. Thank you, Meandering Shade. GW's been doing this thing where they don't increase the prices of their hobby supplies. Instead, they just like phase them out and then replace them with a very similar product that is suddenly 50% more expensive. So the newer paint handles I think are like $20 or something like that, and the ones that came out when they first came out not that long ago, golly, how long has it been? Anyway, the when they just first came out, it was probably like 6 years ago or something. They were like $8 per handle, and now they're $20. It's like, oh, that's like more than 100% inflation, but it's not, because it's not the same painting handle. It's a slightly different product. So, you can't price compare it because that one wasn't on sale. It's all very silly. But that is the situation. All right. Scabs is base coated. And I'm just going to go over Cal a little bit. Get any of the crevices. And we're just going to take just a beat to get it to dry. All right. So in other news, I'm like applying to become a middle school history teacher right now, which is not something I had ever like planned to do with my life. But I don't know. I've been teaching computer science for a few months and I enjoy it, but like I'm not in a union, and my labor is not appreciated the way that it is when you have representation. So my goal is to kind of go from that to working. You haven't missed all that much. I built the models, and now that they're base coated, so we're still kind of at the early stages yet, and now they kind of have to dry for a little bit. So that's why I'm talking about boring career stuff. So I'm kind of just in this like holding pattern where I have a very, very minimal amount of work that I get from the organization that I work for, and I just kind of wait to hear back from the school system about me wanting to work for them. And it seems likely that I'll be able to get a gig because there's a lot of areas where they kind of need teachers. I don't have a teaching certificate, so I'll have to do a master's program, which is cool. I have one master's degree. It would be cool to get another master's degree, but it will probably eat into my free time. So I'm a little anxious about whenever that starts, like what that's going to do to my ability to kind of make stuff. And my goal is for it to not make it so that I can't do things. I just want to be more selective about which projects I work on. Because right now I just kind of sit down and just follow the muse for whatever is going on. I want to be kind of organizing things so that I'm actually being more mindful about which things I put time into when my free time is kind of at more of a premium. So yeah, that's kind of where my brain has been the last few months. Really, I was like gonna be working I was gonna be teaching an entire school's worth of computer science, like to every single class in the school, and then didn't wind up working out because the one of the other instructors who's full time went to their placement. Yeah, it would be Baltimore City. One of the other instructors went to their placement, and they were like, "Oh, we don't have a like computer science class scheduled at this school." And it was just like, "Oh, okay, well then we have to put him somewhere else." So he wound up taking my placement because he's full time. So I'm hourly. I don't get paid if I don't work. Whereas if they don't have work for him, he's salaried, so they have to keep paying him. So it made more sense to kind of put him at that post, and it was kind of a bummer because if I was working 20 hours a week teaching right now, I would not be like in the middle of trying to get a job directly with the city. I would be kind of busy with that and like getting a feel for it and seeing if that was something that I wanted to do long term for the organization. But like working 2 hours a week is just not. It's not viable for me. Because it's, yeah, I mean, I think everybody understands implicitly that like 2 hours a week is, it's not a real job. Especially since the 2 hours a week is like, I have to commute just over half an hour on my bike to get to the school to then teach for an hour. It's like, oh, this is a really bad return on investment. So I'm teaching a robotics club, which I do enjoy. And yeah, I don't have any tricks for for managing my time yet, but hopefully I'll get there. Recently, I did get one of these really cool. Oh, of course, my thing is like. I got one of these really cool. Where is it? Like ever clean like water pots for using as my my rinse station or whatever. I was curious how well it would work. It's not perfect. That's probably not a surprise, certainly. Weird. Whoops. Anyway, what was I saying? Um, there we go. So I saw like a bunch of people using these kind of wash stations, and they're really nifty, because like the biggest problem that I run into is that I wind up like getting like metallic flecks in the water, and then like I wash my brush and then it winds up getting metallic flecks in the brush, and this way I can just kind of flush the water anytime I'm switching between metallics and non, which I quite like. I'm cleaning out my dry brush now. Got kind of this habit of forgetting to wash it. So boom. All right. I like this towel, by the way. It says, "I promise to be kind to myself." It was a Christmas present. It was intended as like a paint rag, that would kind of remind me that like sometimes I take life too seriously, which I'll cop to. I am a classic overthinker, and I've been trying to kind of, be mindful about that. I think I got all the soap out. No, not quite. Anyhow, I've been using this rag for like wiping brushes off for like almost a year, and I wash it every once in a while, but it's been kind of fun. Usually I just use paper towels, but it's been kind of fun to have like a record of like my past painting projects or whatever, in the form of like the stains left on the pad. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna overbrush, which for anyone who doesn't know is when you kind of aggressively paint, and you don't worry about getting it on other nearby things that aren't supposed to be the color that you're painting. I tend to do that for my like first stage. In fact, if I was not kind of doing this as like a live stream, I would have cleaned my airbrush and I would have airbrushed like the gradient down on the coat. So I would be starting with this dark camo green, which, by the way, dark camo green from Monument. I would be starting with this dark camo green, and then like doing increasingly like highlighted greens up to like probably like a pale green, and then hitting the that kind of extreme gradient with a filter, which is what I've been doing for years, but it turns out that there's like a term for it. At least that's the way Monument kind of writes about it in their tutorials, is that when you do like a translucent color on top of your gradient, what you're doing is filtering the gradient. So, you know, you're adding a layer of additional pigment that will kind of blend all of the layers of highlight together, which is a really fast way to get really beautiful highlights. You know, not exactly breaking new ground here. Like I said, I was doing this technique before I knew the words for it. I think I first learned it in like 2012 when I started painting Red Corsairs, and I came across a tutorial for painting Huron Blackheart that was like it used an intense amount of wet blending, and then it used a red glaze over top to knit the different layers of gradient together. And so once I kind of learned that got incorporated into my usual painting workflow. And over time, I was kind of like, when I started speed painting, that was a big part of kind of my speed painting process. And now I discover that there's a term for it. I'm filtering. And it's been kind of my goal of late has been to kind of increase my skill set through kind of stretching my boundaries a little bit. Hi, Jensen. Thank you. All right. Getting in there with the green. It's already looking better. So yeah, I've been kind of trying to push myself to do more steps, kind of spend more time on getting these things, the like undercoats before I weather, to like a good point. Because at some point I may want to paint models that aren't covered in like 6 layers of grime. I don't know when that point might be. I don't know why someone would paint a model without grime on it. But presumably there are people who do. I mean, I know that there are people who do. It's just so fun to make things dirty. But I think it's important as like a kind of artistic practice to like try to do interesting. I don't really have a way to. I wonder. I was trying to set the focus on my that's not doing it. Yeah. I guess it's just a matter of getting it like the right distance up. It wasn't as big of a deal when the model was like gray, but it's just not focusing where I want it to focus. I'll probably have to switch up how I have this set up for next time and have have a different camera pointed at him. I've been looking at potentially getting this like Logitech streaming camera that's supposed to be really good, but it's expensive, so I've been putting it off. Mostly because I haven't been streaming. But then it's like, well, if my video quality is not good, then that's a deterrent to me streaming. So maybe I should pony up. These are the kind of problems that I would not have if I had a job that gave me more than 2 hours a week of work. It would be like, oh, just go buy it. But that's not where I'm at right now. You gotta prioritize stuff. For example, the little keypad that I was just showing off a little bit ago. I'm using that for Blender and Premiere and stuff, and it's really nice to kind of have like a little shortcut bar. I'm still getting it set up for using in other stuff, so it will be useful for like as a stream deck kind of thing. All right, that's a good start. I could even go a little bit brighter. But I'm not going to dry brush further highlights. I go in and actually paint them manually. Speaking of the word manual, I was hanging out with my 9-year-old yesterday, and like I was saying earlier, he got a free stern guard at the Warhammer store on Saturday, and so kind of while we were there, I went ahead because the person running it was really nice and kind of talking to my kids about it. I went ahead and picked up one of the like intro to Warhammer like magazine things that comes with one Tyranid and one intercessor with the flamer, and I was just kind of curious what his takeaway from it would be. So he's been like reading it obsessively, and it was really funny kind of explaining to him, like, he's like, all right, what's the deal with this? Like, what are these different factions? Explain them to me. And like the Space Marine factions, I can't help but be kind of snarky about it. So like he was like, all right, what's the deal with these guys, the Space Wolves? I'm like, oh, their power is is wolf. He's like, what? Like, well, like, like they really like wolves. They wear wolf pelts. They wear wolf pelts. They wear wolf teeth, and then sometimes they turn into wolves. And he was like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, like, it's like a genetic curse where like sometimes they wolf out. And he's like werewolves? And I was like, well, kinda, but like they don't turn back, so it's a little bit different from werewolves. He's like, what? All right, tell me more about the Blood Angels. Oh, those guys are vampires. What? Well, okay, so they're not exactly vampires, but they do thirst for human blood. And then they go crazy and they think that they see Horus. And, he's just like, what is, like, this is nonsense. I'm like, yep. And then he starts asking me about other chapters. Like, oh, what's the deal with the Raven Guard? Like, oh, their power is being goth, and he asked me about the Iron Hands. It's like, oh, this is the best one. Because the Iron Hands, their whole thing, and he's like, let me guess. They have iron hands? And I was like, hey, you're figuring out this whole setting. Yes, the Iron Hands' whole thing is that they have iron hands. And he's like, this is so weird. I'm like, yeah, like Warhammer's goofy. People will like try to make it super serious, but like ultimately it resists seriousness. Uh, and I think that even GW forgets that sometimes. Um, but it was kind of fun to talk with him about it, because he's like finally getting to the age where he can appreciate this stuff. It was all kind of very like whiz bang and wow and like that, like when he was younger. But now he's getting more of a sense of like dramatic irony and all of that kind of good stuff that makes appreciating Warhammer for kind of the absurdity of it a lot easier. So he's actually kind of, I didn't want to like dump too much Warhammer lore on him when he was impressionable. Like wait until he's got the analytical skills to like actually parse this stuff, and he's finally getting there. So we get to talk about satire and homages and all that stuff. And the fact that the Primarch of the Iron Hands is named Iron Hands, who is known for his iron hands, and has made his sons give themselves iron hands. Let's see. All right. I'm gonna come in with like an off-white for like a lot of my details that got painted green, which will be brown later. I tend to stick to simple. Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry, Shade. So anyway, I'm painting all of the areas that will be kind of leather colored with an off-white, and then I'll come around with snakebite leather later, which is just one of my absolute favorite contrast paints, and like I need a new pot of it because mine is getting low. I have like tried to largely switch to using like layered acrylics from like all of the contrast that I used to use. I love contrast, don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to kind of instill in myself that like growth mindset of like, all right, like I know how to do this, and like it's really potent, and it allows me to kind of skip steps. Because when you're heavily weathering over top, having that kind of like immaculate undercoat is just not as important. So spending extra time doing these like complicated gradients is not necessarily a worthwhile return on investment when you're going to be covering it up later. But while that mindset is valid, if I view this not as a process of like outputting something and instead as like a process of artistic practice, then I should also consider that like painting a gradient across like a large amount of a model is perhaps better practice. All right, so they do have his they have his wrists, the like folded over coat sleeves as being like a brown interior, which I guess means the coat itself has a brown interior, which is convenient since the inside of the coat is already brown from when I painted it base colors, because I haven't had a chance to dry brush in there. And get that face. Oh, Cal, you card.
Anyhow, I view it as important to kind of continue to like push myself. Because if I'm not constantly kind of shoving myself outside of my comfort zone, I feel like I won't grow. Which is something I tell the kids that I teach all the time. And, you know, if I'm going to give other people that advice, I should at least follow it myself. So, like, rather than sticking to stuff that I know that I can do and kind of being complacent, I'm trying to, like, really engage with, like, more of a growth-oriented kind of view of painting. I don't know what color I'm going to do the shoulder pad, but it seems safe to go for a white that I can put a contrast over later. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm probably going to go till 2 for anyone who's curious. I'm going to give myself a little bit of time to eat some lunch before I go pick up my kids today. So going in. All right. It's a start. I'm doing not quite going all the way to white on this because I'm just going to put the like color over it because I'm pretty sure I'm going to do black for his boots and for the belt. All right, now Mr. Scabs. And I suppose I'll also do Cal. Like worried that I got paint on my cardigan that I like. Shouldn't be painting in it. Boom. Alright. So, I'm using the Monument Shadow Flesh to do his face and the like exposed skin on his wrists, hands, and legs. I've been really enjoying starting with kind of a darker salmon kind of color as like the base for painting skin. As I don't know, I've been getting better results, I think, than kind of putting a flesh wash over a black and white gradient the way I sort of was before. Alright. Just kind of figure that like the only person who Cal Jericho can like consistently get to stick around, including like his wife Yolanda, who's just not that into him. The only person he can consistently get to stick around is the like toxic relationship he has with Scabs, where like they both kind of depend on each other, but like it's an abusive relationship for sure. that kind of tracks with Cal's background. Alright, so Scabs has got off-white pants, white undershirt, blue jacket. So I'm going for kind of not necessarily like the box cover exact color match, but I am going for box colors in terms of like I'd like to achieve a similar look to like whatever the canonical color scheme is. I did the same thing with Lady Credo. I like did a riff on her color scheme from the art, and it's not identical, certainly, but I wouldn't want it to be identical. But it is like the same kind of colors. So like it's not exactly the same in terms of like the hues, but I went with the same basic colors. And I also did the same thing for her husband, Lord Credo, which I also did a few days back, sometime last week. His colors in his bit of art that he has are actually different from hers, which I thought was interesting. I'm super curious whether the new book will reveal kind of what her deal is, because like part of the whole thing with Lady Credo is like nobody knows where she's from or what her like real background is, which is odd, considering she's like a fallen noble or whatever, quote unquote. Of course, it depends on who she is, whether I actually want to know who she is, because like if she is if she's like an alien or something, I don't know, I'll go kind of a little bit peeved, maybe. Like it's just like, okay, like not how I would have done. Alright, so for the blue, I'm going to start with dark purple. I gotta say, I really like having my webcam mounted on my light arch instead of on my my computer monitor, because like when I'm live streaming, there's usually a camera between my face and the computer monitor. So like of course that creates problems, like not being able to see me or having to put it at a weird angle. So if I have it on this arch that it's sitting on, then it can see my face even when my face is kind of like down and looking into the field of view of the other camera. I don't know. This whole live streaming thing is it's weird. I like it. I like kind of sharing my process. But the part of the problem is that like I'm interested in doing it because I like sharing with people, and it's like a social thing to do, and like making videos is like pretty antisocial at times. Not in a bad way, but like it's just very kind of solitary. Like you just find yourself staring at a screen for long periods of time and slowly clicking through, and and editing stuff. It's not. Thanks, Shade. I'm sorry that your internet connection has given you so much trouble. I've been there, believe me. Alright, so yeah. Starting with purple. And then we will bring that purple up. Using the power of highlighting. And so I think I'm gonna go. I could do like a dark blue, but I kind of like, because I'm gonna filter over this with a blue wash later. Like I've kind of, my thought process is like start with the purple and go into blue, and then the purple is kind of like the shadow, your shadow color, and then your blues gradually come up to be your highlights, and then when you put that filter over top, it will make that transition work better, and the purple will kind of have a bluish tint to it. I've definitely been enjoying painting to this White Bat playlist that I've got on. Speaking of, thank you to White Bat Audio for making cool free music that folks can use in their videos. I actually got the recommendation for that channel from another live stream that I did last year, because I had been finding free music on like Pixabay and various other like sources, and like those were cool, but they were like often set up so that the person could prevent other people from like claiming copyright on them, so that they would then copyright flag if you uploaded. So then you had to upload like a license that said like, I have a right to use this, which just like created this extra layer of steps to getting a video up. And you know, I have ADHD. I don't like having extra steps involved in publishing. I want to be able to finish something and then hit publish on it, and not have to like sweat uploading legal documents and waiting for the person who owns the copyright claim to like relinquish their claim or whatever. White Bat has been great for that, because all of his stuff is it's set up so that he doesn't claim your like video on YouTube, so I don't have to worry about like having to process a bunch of paperwork every time I upload a video. It's worse when you're live streaming, since like you're trying to do something on camera and like you're getting your feed taken down or demonetized or whatever. I'm not super worried about monetization. I don't have enough traffic for that to be like a big concern for me. But from what I've seen, it's actually pretty difficult to make money with YouTube ad revenue unless you're making like real mass market kind of stuff. And I am allergic to that. All right. Oh, I think the music ended. Interesting. Go here and go with different playlist. There we go. 20 more minutes. So anyhow, I definitely feel like my iPhone actually is not the ideal camera for this. It's funny because like it can focus really well when you're using it as like a handheld camera. It's faster even than like my DJI like gimbal camera, but apparently the software interface for like making it focus through OBS is just not there yet, because I'm using it's called like continuity camera, which is like a Mac OS feature where you can use your phone as the webcam. I think that the people doing it are generally using it as a face webcam, so like it doesn't have to do that much in terms of like autofocusing. Like it's just not, you know, when you're live streaming, you're chatting in Zoom or whatever, there's just not that much motion or action, whereas when you are painting a model like this, focusing is not easy. That was the reason I tried this camera this time around, is because like in the past I've had pretty mixed results. All right, now it's time for a little Cal action. I have to figure out where I put my transparent green. I have like I really like my setup for my paints. The only downside is that my desk just isn't quite big enough for the number of paints that I have, which I think that probably other people can relate to that, because I feel like however big your desk is, your like collection of paints grows until it becomes too much for your desk. So like I've got racks with all my non-monument paints, and then I've got racks with all my monument paints. And I mostly use monument these days, but I don't want to waste the other paints. And I'm just now realizing that this is one of those situations where my therapist would be like, okay, you say that, but like, are you getting anything out of keeping them? It's like, well, they're shades that I'll never be able to get again. Like, okay, is that important, or are you hoarding? Well, a little bit hoarding. Yeah. What of it? I hoard things. Deal with it. Not really, though. I am actually pretty good at letting go of stuff. But I don't want to get rid of old paints, because I often find myself working on terrain projects where I don't want to use an entire $4 bottle of monument paint in one go. So having like old paints that I don't care about using all of is really nifty. So there we go. Our filter is turning our gradient into like a consistent green color. It's not the green, like the kind of yellowish green that he wears on the cover of the box, but I really don't need to do color matching. I just like to do it in the same hue. That's all that matters to me. I wonder what info we're going to get on Cal from this new book. The one problem with, you know, I hate non-spoiler reviews of things. Like, if you're going to review something, I need you to discuss what actually happens and break down what you think about it, because that's what interests me. So, like, reading non-spoiler reviews of the book where it's like, things seem dire, I don't know what's going to happen, is a little bit frustrating, because it's like, yeah, but you do know. Like, you have the book on you. So, like, you could tell us what happens. But I get that you're not supposed to. Because people get really, really aggro about having spoilers revealed to them. But, like, for me, the experience is the opposite. Where it's like, if you're going to discuss events in a story, and you're just not going to get into kind of the progression of where the events go and like how they end, then like I feel like I'm not going to get anything out of reading your thoughts on it. So anyway, so not to disparage people who don't post spoilers in their reviews. Obviously, they're responding to what the consumer wants. It's just that what I want and what the consumer wants are in conflict with each other. All right, I am making my filter with transparent blue from Monument. Where is it? Transparent blue. And I'm actually going to water it down a little bit. Just because I find that, I was using the Monument glazing medium to give it a little bit less dense pigmentation, but a little bit of water I find once you've kind of used the glaze medium helps to give it just a little bit more flow. And as you can see, the filter comes in and tints our gradient while keeping it intact because it's a transparent paint. Boom. All right. Well, I like how that turned out. It's popping pretty well. And then often what I'll do after I do the coat of transparent paint is then come in and do like a little bit of a wet blendy final highlight where we bring just that like top edge, just that little teeny most light part back up to the gray blue in this case, which gives us that kind of like, it really makes the color feel deeper, which I think is just an illusion, really. But it really helps to get that kind of polished look that people expect. All right, so similar deal here. I'm going to come back around with the green, the pale green, and do some highlighting. Actually might be a little too bright for this one, so I might have to actually go over it, mix it with some you know what, actually I think that it's because I was using like the camo greens, and it's just not going to mesh as well with the green that went on top because it wasn't a camo green. So what I'll probably just do is wind up putting another filter on top once I'm done sort of adding a little bit more in. But this is the game. This is where I'm at with my painting now, is like, it's just about experimenting with which order to do what colors in, and like it's about kind of working on different ways of applying the layers of paint so that you get different textures and feels, and it's teaching me a lot about this art form, so I'm definitely glad to be experimenting with it. Alright. Well, that was too much, but thankfully very easy to come in and fix that. Oh yeah, that's actually working really well. It's still slightly wet, so the glaze is blending a little bit with the white. Yep. I can dig it. All right. Yeah, so I don't know. This works, I guess. We'll see. It's a very bright coat. It's kind of like a teal, but I really am happy with how the blue on Scabs turned out. So there is that. And yeah, so I'll go back around and start picking out details, doing skin and hair and stuff, but we've kind of hit our 2 hours here. I wasn't necessarily expecting to finish painting two models from like assembly to painting in 2 hours. So I'm happy with the progress that I've made, and I'll have another Inktober uh, submission up uh, later today. Let's see. Uh, all right, this is why we don't usually streamers don't do that stuff live. So, but I did. uh, so yeah, this was fun. Thanks to everyone who like made it out to watch. I appreciate your time and attention. And yeah, this is a nice thing to do on my birthday. So I might make this like a tradition where it might be at a different time if I'm working at a school next year. It'll be in the afternoon, U.S. Eastern time instead of being in the middle of the day. But yeah. Thanks to everyone for the happy birthday wishes, and everybody stay safe, and don't forget to change your paint water.